Stellaris, one of my favourite time wasters and developer Paradox Interactive's crowning jewel of 4X space exploration. Stellaris is one of those games which gets harder to explain to people the more you talk. It starts off with your friend asking, "Hey, what are you playing right now?" And you say, "Hey, I'm actually playing this really cool game about building a space empire from the ground up. It's called Stellaris." And they say, "Oh wow, that sounds amazing. What does it actually involve?" And you just have this moment of complete terror, where you realize you're going to have to spend the next 15 minutes flailing your arms around and having your voice increasingly rise in pitch as you frantically try to explain just what the hell this game actually is. For Paradox and general 4X fans, this is already a fact of life. From Europa Universalis to Crusader Kings to Hearts of Iron, these 4X titles are about as dense as a neutron star, and at least twice as fun as one. No amount of explaining will ever be enough to get your friends interested if they don't already have some experience with the genre, or if they're super adventurous with the gaming choices. But what they don't know, and what we do know, is that the rewards of paying your noob dues and learning how these games work are so worth it. But we'll get to that a bit later. Can't use up my hook in the first minute. For those not yet in the know, these are the basic tenets of Stellaris. Bearing in mind that this ain't a walkthrough. More of a middle finger to anyone who hasn't played this cool ass game yet. And a review, I guess. Whoops. There we go. When you log into the game for the first time, you'll generally head into single player, where you're presented with a number of faction or species cards. You can either use a pre-made species, such as humans, or you can customize your own brand new disgusting slug, mutant, whatever, and give it all the atrocious perks you might desire. Truly a role-player's paradise. Once you've picked a species, you'll get a few sliders to choose from before actually starting. What sort of galaxy do you want? How many stars do you want? How difficult will the game be? Quick tip for you all, as a seasoned veteran of this galactic battleground, I've learned the optimum way to customize the user experience and ensure maximum fun with ideal challenge. You're then plonked down onto the galactic map. If you selected a pre-made species, such as the nice human faction, you'll even start on Earth. Now we're done with the easy part. This is the precipice where so many casual players will either fall off the cliff into darkness and despair, losing all hope of ever understanding the complexities of this game, or where those who have a mind for self-flagellation and heavy BDSM will set themselves a trial by fire, springing headfirst into a galaxy they won't understand for the next 50 hours because, damn it, it's just so much fun to survey systems and build mining stations. Speaking of which, in my opinion, this is the best phase of the game. You get to explore at your own pace, occasionally coming across new and bizarre civilizations, encountering mysterious ruins, and awakening powerful, ancient entities who want to crush your existence like the disgusting primitive you are. You're still at the point where you can micromanage every planet, choosing which buildings are best and which civilians take which jobs. You fawn over every planet you colonize and shed a tear for every lost scientist who jumped into the wrong system. It's amazing. As your sphere of influence grows, you'll eventually encounter more and more rival empires who either want you to trade with them or fucking fuck off. Due to civilization ethics varying randomly between all the AI factions, you'll never be able to make friends with everyone. If you're a pacifist, that militarist empire next door hates you. If you're religious, that atheist Star Kingdom a few hyperlanes away wants to grind your bones into dust. Hell, even if you're a true neutral, and somehow you manage to balance almost all the likes and dislikes of your galactic neighbours, I guarantee there will be a hive mind swarm faction somewhere which would gladly eat your fence-sitting ass. And betwixt all yon interspecies relations, you'll be dealing with a multitude of internal conflicts, bonuses, stories, and political changes. One planet might be on the brink of starvation because there's not enough food. Another might be engaged in an endless war of attrition with the native inhabitants. Another might be in the collision path of a passing asteroid. The possibilities are endless. And those are just the random events. I still remember my first couple of weeks playing this game, and there were two things that really distinctly stood out to me. One was the music, which is fantastic. by the way. Whatever else you have to say about Paradox, they know how to make some seriously beautiful soundtracks. The other was the writing. In the course of your space adventures, you'll encounter countless anomalies deserving of your attention. Some are simple one-shot blocks of text which add flavour to the galaxy. Some are timed and require you to send a fleet to investigate or a scientist to quickly research a particular technology. Most interesting of all are the anomalies which lead you on a 3-hour quest to capture a certain planet or summon a potentially malevolent creature from another dimension through a black hole. Some of them get really creepy too. I won't spoil too much for you, because if you don't own this game, I kinda need you to get it at this point. But one quest chain takes you through the process of psionically awakening your species, gaining powerful bonuses for your entire race. Based on your interactions with the psionic dimension, you can end up communing with an all-powerful and malignant presence called the End of the Cycle, an infamous detractor of two-wheeled transport, which desires to strike a deal to enter your dimension. The rewards of cooperating are great, but the interest paid on this debt might be too heavy for the galaxy to bear. And that's just one example of hundreds that I picked out. And it's not even the best one. Whether you want to be a liberating hero who exorcises the galaxy of evil menaces, or a dark warlord who enters into vile agreements with ominous entities, the writing for it is there. Your choices can have drastic effects on your species and others everywhere. The best part is that you don't even need to read any of it. If all you want is to avoid the dumb intellectual drama and just start saturating every planet you can see with nuclear missiles, you can do that. There is almost always an option to avoid a quest chain and just receive a standard resource boost instead of progressing further for potentially greater rewards or punishments. Speaking of combat and nuclear missiles, that's up next. When you kick off in Stellaris, you're very generously provided a few scout ships, which can be used to defend your territory early on, or knock out some rogue AI mining drones in the neighbourhood, which might be halting your advance. They're not much, but they give you a taste of what's to come. Ship weapons, armour, engines, and shields are fully customizable in this game, which is a blessing for those of us who love weirdo shit. By the mid-game, you can pump out some truly absurd contraptions. Want a destroyer that only shoots alien phlegm? You can do it. Want a carrier that unloads bazillions of annoying little strike fighters? You can do it. Want a battleship that has 1 million shield points, but no armor and shoots weaponized beams of radiation? By God, you can do it. It even extends to upgrading each ship's afterburners and warp drives, individually if you desire, so you can have them move faster across the galaxy map. All of this is made as simple as pie, through a template system, which allows you to quickly mass produce a certain type of ship from your docks, or a variety of colourful creations. Oh, and you can rename everything. Combat becomes integral to the progression of your individual story too. If you choose to play as a non-negotiable xenophobic fuckhead, you absolutely can. You'll just need the fleet strength to back it up. And every aspect of your society determines every other aspect. If you want the biggest, baddest fleet that ever sailed the 7 nebulae, well sir, you need to make some sacrifices. Maybe a few of the backwater peasants will need to starve, but if it means you don't have to suffer even one more Xeno to live, then baby, now you're cooking. Of course, that approach usually leads to galaxy-spanning coalitions forming against you to stop your tyrannical rise to power. As such, your session will probably just end up as an endless slog to mop up every single star system there is. Not exactly a quick process. It also locks off a lot of the cool diplomatic stuff that you can get up to. On that note, if you decide to take a more consular approach, the options for interacting with friends and foes increases 100-fold. As a society which doesn't place its entire focus on eradicating every single microbe on every moon that exists, you can engage in nuanced, diplomatic endeavours with other species. You can trade goods, share star map information, form alliances, declare rivalries, and even found a star-spanning federation, which works together for the common good. It's worth mentioning that none of this is limited to the player either. AI alliances will rise and fall with equal frequency well into the endgame. Ah, the endgame, where some of the best parts of this game come to a head. Boy, does Stellaris save some impressive stuff for the final confrontations. As your session drags into hundreds of endgame years, you might start to receive some strange transmissions. Mysterious clarion calls from another dimension, whispers of a robotic insurgency in a remote star system, or perhaps the thunder of 1,000 prehistoric but infinitely advanced factories humming back to life in the territory of an ancient, mighty empire. The endgame crisis, as it's known, is equal parts daunting and exciting. For one thing, in-game triggers achieved by either the player or an AI are what cause most of them. For others, it's only a matter of time. Whichever crisis you encounter, each has its own challenges, and some are considered particularly difficult above others. Researching dangerous technology, such as the fabled jump drive, might lead to a tear in the space-time continuum, allowing an extragalactic invasion by a species of ghostly predators known as the Unbidden, striking forth from this rift with tens or even hundreds of thousands of ships. They'll quickly overwhelm all but the most resolute empires. A long game without any dangerous technology being researched may lead to an incursion of space bugs from another galaxy known as the Pretheran Scourge, who are following a path of least resistance across the stars whilst feeding in the mad flight to escape a mysterious enemy. They blight every planet they touch, making them uninhabitable even after the last Pretheran is long gone. Or perhaps you're lucky enough to encounter a rare crisis, the War in Heaven. This threat builds from within your galaxy, when two all-powerful civilizations known as fallen empires come to blows. This one tends to be the most exciting scenario, as fallen empires actually exist in your session from the very beginning, and you have long since come to respect their borders and their godlike fleet power. As these venerable foes trade munitions against each other, now as awakened empires, they call on all the citizens of the galaxy to join their side. Your choice is thrilling. Join one side or the other, or gamble on staying independent and ruling over the ashen aftermath of the all-encompassing war. Now earlier, I mentioned that the rewards of paying your noob dues and slogging through the early part of the game is worth it big time. Well, here's why. Forget about the stunning writing, chilling music, and exhilarating space battles, which play out in real time. Forget about the infinite variety of friends and foes and the satisfying minutiae of managing your empire. Even forget about the hilarious species customization and potential for truly absurd roleplay. But remember this, it's just pure, unadulterated, inexplicable fun. You never have the same experience twice. Crank up the difficulty and you can really test your limits as a galactic governor. Or dip into the Steam Workshop and try your hand as a newborn colony in the Warhammer 40k universe. There is so much content, even BuzzFeed would be hard-pressed to steal it. It may not have the real-time strategy layer of battle that Total War, for instance, has, but it has everything else in bucket loads. It's honestly exhausting to even think about how much more this game has to offer. I've barely scratched the surface of what you can come to expect from your first foray into Stellaris, let alone playing multiplayer. But it's my hope and my belief that this video will pique your interest. Now, no game is perfect, and Stellaris does have its issues. The aforementioned complexity of the game for a beginner can be a pretty big fun vampire. It can suffer dreadful slowdowns in the later stages of the game as empires become more and more complex. It has some quirky UI decisions which make navigating the increasingly longer sidebar just a chore to do. And sometimes the AI is just plain dumb. But if we get down to brass tacks, there's just nothing else like it in the space sim genre. I will gladly take a Stellaris with some annoying gripes over yet another generic space shooter which overpromises and underdelivers. No other game I have ever played has managed to capture the sheer magic of dropping into a brand new session with a brand new species, fresh-faced and with a galaxy at my feet. A mod here, a mod there, and suddenly I'm looking at another 40 hours worth of gameplay, which my wife can never take back from me. It's damn good. And that's all I have to say. Bye.